Okay, so whenever you're ready, if you feel like you're ready now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, so if you could for a moment, just let's go back there and figure out like what was going on at the time.
So it was just another day. We're on a routine assignment, and our company was ambushed. And I don't remember a lot from it. Like, a lot of it is blacked out in my mind. But I remember seeing my friend through the smoke. But he was far away from me, but I knew it was him. I couldn't even see his face, but I knew it was him. And he was standing, and I saw someone about to attack him, and if I had been closer, I could have done something, and I wanted to do something, but I was shot in the leg and couldn't move, and I didn't have any control.
Yeah.
But I think that if I had been nearer to him the whole time, I could have protected him. Or if I had stayed by his side from earlier in the evening, because we usually were close by each other, then that wouldn't have happened.
Right.
And yeah.
So why were you at the distance that you were?
I don't recall.
So it's probably just, obviously it was a surprise for all of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so what were you experiencing? What were some of the emotions or some of your thought processes that were going on during that time?
Just the fear, just the panic. I don't think there were any thoughts. It didn't settle until later that, like, what the devastation was and what had happened, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a long time, and then days before I realized that, like, I had let everyone down on my promise and that a lot of people died and I had a part in it. Like, I feel like I could have done something, you know.
So, obviously, it was a high-stress situation. Panic, you mentioned panic and confusion.
Mm-hmm.
So, why do you feel the guilt in such a unpredictable situation? Like, what was it? What was your fault in the situation?
I don't know. I can't pinpoint it.
So, I know it's difficult for me to really be there where you were, but if a friend, went through the same situation, let's say a good friend of yours went through a similar situation,
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell him?
I'd tell him that he should have been there.
So you feel like you feel like if your friend was feeling guilty about the situation that he should have done something to change it?
Well, in a lot of situations, I just don't know what could have been done differently in my scenario. But, like, I still think a promise is a promise, and I don't know. I just feel like something could have happened differently. But I don't know what I would have told my friend, because I don't know what else could have happened.
Right.
So
maybe I just didn't explain myself really clearly, and I apologize about that. I'm not meaning your friend that you lost.
Oh, right, yeah. I know.
So let's say if a friend of yours let's say a friend comes to you and tells you that he feels guilty because he had a situation where him and his company were under attack, and one of his best friends was gunned down, and he somehow feels responsible for that. What would you tell that friend?
That he's not. If he doesn't have anything he could have done differently, it was out of his control, then he has to learn the acceptance.
So why would you hold your? What is it that makes doesn't hold your friend accountable, but yet you hold yourself accountable? Like what? Why is that?
I don't know. It's just been that way for so long.
So it sounds like there wasn't anything that you could have done, right?
I don't think there was.
And so since, you can think about it that way, you wouldn't hold somebody else accountable for something that they had absolutely no control over.
Right.
Especially a friend of yours. So you have to ask yourself, or you can think to yourself, why is it that I'm holding myself accountable for this? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess so. It's just I'm so used to it. I'm used to it, that being the center of my existence now, is that I that guilt. I carry it every day, I've been carrying it for decades, so it's hard to change it.
Yeah, and I can understand. If it's something that you've had for so long, as we continue to do more of these activities, as we continue to go through this process, you will find that the ability to reframe the situation, because it was a situation where you were not in control of it, right? You were wounded, so you couldn't get to him.
Yeah.
And so these feelings of guilt, aren't they're problematic, right? It's causing you feelings that you shouldn't be punishing yourself for, right?
Yeah.
And so, or you don't have to punish yourself, is what I mean to say.
Right.
For the situation, because you didn't have any control over it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at. I'm going to go ahead and give you this handout here. You can kind of look at that. But what I'm going to ask you to do for our next session. So I would encourage you to continue to use the ABC sheet, that sheet that I gave you.
Mm-hmm.
Continue to write down some things that you are aware of that trigger you, some activating events, we call it. And then some beliefs that you have around those events, and then some of the feelings that you have that are connected with those events.
Okay.
But in addition, the most important thing that we're going to be talking about next time we see each other is I'm going to ask you to write down the experience that you shared with me, but in as much detail as you can. Typically, people come up with about 8 pages. If you don't come up with 8 pages, that's okay. But I would ask you to write as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and if you have to take breaks, that's okay. Feel free to know that if it's a little much at one time, you can take a break. If you would, though, put a line through at the time that you take a break, so to kind of break it up. Okay.
Okay.
So whenever you take a break, just put a line through the paper, and then when you're ready to start again, you can come back and write. Okay?
Is this next time?
This is for our next visit.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so...
Do you want me to do that as homework?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So this is what you're going to be doing on your own time.
Oh. Okay.
In addition, make sure you find a place that you can do it where you feel comfortable, and it's a more private place.
Mm-hmm.
So that you're not doing it out in the common area or the canteen area. Find some place that
not at the bar.
Yeah, right. Right. Well, you're here, so I don't think you're going to be going to the bar anytime soon.
Oh yeah. Oh no, indeed.
But yeah, find a place that you feel comfortable, a place that you can be in a more private situation, mm-hmm. and write it down. Okay. Again, if you're feeling overwhelmed at any point, take a break, put a line through the paper, write it again.
Okay.
Over the next couple of days, because our next session isn't until 5 days from now.
Uh-huh.
So today's Wednesday, so you'll see me Monday.
Yep.
So on Monday, between now and Monday, when you're done writing that scenario or that story,
mm-hmm.
read it as many times throughout the day as you can. Again, when you feel like you are in a private situation where you feel like you can.
Okay.
The reason for that is because the more that you read it, the more familiar you'll become with the information that's there,
mm-hmm.
and you can begin to identify maybe some faulty beliefs or some faulty emotions that you have attached to what happened.
Okay.
And then we can come back and talk about that.
That's a lot of homework.
It is. Yep. It's a lot, but it's important. And so
I have
know
a lot of material.
you do. I know that. I know it's a lot, but again, the most important thing is if you don't get to any of that, that's okay. The most important thing is that story.
Okay.
When you write down that story, just make sure you put it in as much detail as you can. We'll talk about it next session.
Okay, will do.
All right.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
See you Monday.
All right. See you Monday.
Okay, bye.